We'd have to ask the committee that deals with infrastructure to call those agencies in and pull together a report for us so that we can take it from there. Because, yes, normally it would be the ministry and agency that is compiling the information from those relevant agencies to be able to respond. And why I said, Chair, you missed it, PS just said that really they haven't given any much more significant information to the ministry than it's probably available.
That is in the public domain.
Right. And they're just pushing as hard as they can to get the recovery, but you know, they wouldn't be seized of that level of detail to.
But I don't think there is anything that prohibits us from having those entities come before the PACC. I must tell you, I'm particularly disappointed. I think after burial, the JPS was much better in projecting their recovery. And I can understand, you know, maybe in the hardest hit parishes, it would be too early for that. But certainly in Manchester and St. Mary, you know, we would expect that they could, even in St. Andrew, I know, although it's only 5% out in St. Andrew, that. I must tell you, I've been asking the regional communications officer for projections on a daily basis, because it helps people to plan. It's not just that, you know, it may not be making it any quicker, but at least if you know it's going to be in 6 weeks' time versus next week, you can plan for how you're going to deal with, you know, a generator or whatever.
It doesn't really help us. Particularly gives a projection, but it's not of no use to us because.
No. Well, I don't know if they're giving it for St. Andrew, but they're not giving it for Manchester. They don't give any projection. Ms. Palmer, you go ahead.
Yes, committee members and chair, we have been pushing, and you would have heard in the press conferences that the government has been having about what is told, and even the CEO for JPS has been invited to speak. But there are many parishes, and it's in the report. We've given a breakdown by percentage for each parish, but that is not satisfactory to our people. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that. But it is not enough to say you've done 20%, 40%, 60% when people don't have light. And as one man said the other day, where he lives, they never lost light. So when you say you have restored 65% to the area where he is, that's not true, because they had the light all the time. So we are in a constant confrontation, if you will, with JPS about giving us some proper information and timelines so that the citizens can organize themselves. So the fight continues as far as JPS is concerned. Digicel has given us some projections in theirs, and I think Flow to some extent. They are working, and of course, a lot of their work in some areas is dependent on the return of electricity. So that's really the dilemma, sir.
Mr. Newell?
Thank you, Chairman. I have a question, but just for context. And I think that the context applies across the country. Electricity is life and death. There are constituents who reach out to me losing hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars worth of medication, and they're in a situation where they're unable to replace it. And sometimes I don't get the same sensitivity. Now, last year, before I became a member of parliament, I was able to get better information from JPS after burial. Now, as member of parliament, I can hardly get any information. So I have a question. Is the ability of the ministry to push JPS hampered by the fact that a notice, a formal notice that their license will not be renewed has been provided. Is there any detection of that? And I wonder whether any light, any light can be shed on that.
No pun intended. PS?
This way. The information we've been given is that they need to secure financing. And because we have pulled on the license, if you will, my choice of words, they are unable to attract capital. And I mustn't say this publicly, should I? The time remaining on the license does not allow them enough time to secure capital so that they can repay within the time of the license. And there's no guarantee that there will be a renewed or new license unless JPS is willing to agree to new terms. And we cannot step back on that. Right? The country has been suffering high price of electricity and all the other things that we've been talking about for years. And we have agreement approval from cabinet to push for these changes. So the issue is we are now seeking to see how we can assist and facilitate them securing capital.
Do you mean by that a sovereign guarantee?
Not sovereign guarantee, I cannot tell you that. But what is being done is there's a request before us for an extension of the license that will give them wiggle room, is the word I want to use, so they can secure some financing.
So, just for clarification, you had said, PS Farmer, I just want to get clarification that there are changes to the terms of the license which the ministries or the government is pushing for.
Yes.
But in the circumstances, isn't it the company that now holds the handle in these negotiations?
That's what they feel. But that's not it, because if they are dependent on us to be able to secure financing, then we have the handle.
Well, Chairman, I don't think we want to have a public negotiation.
Well, we want to know what we're facing.
Yes, but I think we're kind of we're giving away our hand, our card and everything with some of the questions, I must admit. So I'm not sure if we want to public.
Mr. Crawford, I am certain PS Palmer can handle herself. You don't need to defend
her. All right, I withdraw then, Chair.
I know her very well, and I feel certain she can walk between the raindrops. Mr. Phillips.
No, Mr. Phillips not in line yet. Mr. Phillips not in line.
Mr. Phillips was
and Mr. Phillips, unless Member Burchell.
Yes, I was next.
Also,
yes.
So
go ahead, Ms. Burchell.
You turn off our mic twice already, so please have it recorded. So you can. I will yield to Ms. Burchell, Member Burchell, after which I'll ask my question. And then, Mr. Phillips, you are next in line.
The speaker is helping you to chair.
You like to tell us. Anyway. Could you turn off your mic?
Madam Speaker is helping you to chair.
I will not say a word. You turned my mic off 2 times already. So I have lost my space in the line twice. And I am a decent, obedient member of the committee, unlike the rubber rousers. So I shall...
It's the order right, in which you catch the eye of the presiding officer.
Well, let me show you.
Anyway,
that's how you must
no. Ms. Burchell, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. P.S. And while you push for more information from the service providers, especially JPS, when they send a report that says St. James has 79% of its customers still being out, it really doesn't paint the picture for deep rural constituencies, which are 0% recovered, you know. So when they break it out, if you could ask them to separate or disaggregate the data so that I can then work with my producers, my chicken farmers, and other producers in the constituency so they can have a timeline as to when they can ramp up their production. Because not one light post has been raised in South St. James since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The wires, a lot of them, in trying to clear the pathway, we've had to cut them to get vehicle moving through the constituency. So 79% just means that the Elegant Corridor in Montego Bay has electricity, and parts of Bogue, that's a city. The rural constituencies are still in 100% darkness.
Through you, Chair. My mic is already
No,
on,
I
Chair,
thought you-
so
Mine
Ms.
is on
Palmer
too.
was going to respond.
unless you're going to answer one at a time. Go ahead.
Did you have a
The
response?
fact is, we have asked JPS to break down the figures, because telling people percentages don't mean anything to the average person, right? 76 of what? Right? So we have been pushing, but only this morning I've sent a letter to the OUR because we need the OUR to help us to fight this fight.
Perhaps the OUR might be an agency that we could usefully,
Yeah, can you include them? She suggested it.
right? So in the at the end of the meeting on the AOB in terms of scheduling, we can deal with that. Okay. Mrs. Honis, rather.
Very good. PS, you may not be able to respond, but I'd like for you to just take this notation so that it would be considered by JPS in particular in terms of how they approach the resumption of electricity, especially in spaces that are rural. Well, I pay keen attention to the fact that the notation is paying customers. So the percentage is not necessarily indicative of how many persons do not have light, but who they are responsible to give electricity back to. The parish manager in each parish, I feel, is a good contact. I have the parish manager's number for St. Andrew, Kingston and St. Andrew. I think other MPs would need to do the same. I would love for them to give us an indication instead of percentages, the critical spaces that need electricity first. So for my constituency, you don't have water as one of the things that lack of electricity is giving us challenges with. So telecoms and all of that. But I would ask that the Ministry of Science and Technology just tack onto it which areas from NWC have electrical pumps so we can tie it back into the information in terms of how JPS prioritize return of electricity to relevant spaces so that we do not continue to have a water problem as well because we have a problem of electricity. So if they could focus on those areas as first priority. And then there are many members of parliament like myself who are willing to assist JPS. If you say this particular road needs to be widened in terms of the landslide to 20 feet so that we can pass, then that helps us to be able to help them restore the electricity to the spaces that are impacted. Or if we have a breakaway that we are going to need to dig into the hillside, we are aware. They're not communicating, so we don't know what we can do to help or which tributaries they use. So in Beryl, they would have been able to say to us, the reason you didn't get back on Irishtown Road is because we traveled through Bermuda Mount. We don't know. We want to be able to help them where we can as MPs. So
and
if
those
they
MPs
can give us that
who have
information,
access to heavy equipment.
right? Because some of us would, some of us do, and for at least for those who can help, then it means that all their other heavy equipment can be diverted to where they don't have. so they can get other members of parliament back up and running.
Okay,
in
then
their respective.
I'm sure the ministry will take that on board.
So
But
that
remember,
is
we
for
have
the light.
a ministry that we haven't taken.
We're going to take
yet.
one more now. Hold on, Chairman. Chair, this is important, you know.
I know you may not.
You see, when we
be on
get
that
to some
side of the mic
places to
very
be
often,
able to actually
but-
serve our constituents.
But I don't want you to totally dominate the conversation. There are many other
No, we don't
members
want to.
who want
We
to
don't
participate.
want to. We don't want to. It's not that. This actually benefits all members of parliament. You know, how many of you have been in touch with your parish manager? None.
All of us have.
No, see? All right.
But
Some don't seem
but
to
not
do
with
that.
any positive results.
All right. No, man, it will. It will. And last but not least, for the parish managers to assist us with naming the communities. Instead of saying 75% return, since it's a parish by parish arrangement for particularly JPS that they have established, they would therefore be able, even if they need our help, to say community by community, when is their projected date to return electricity to that community.
Thank you. All right, if there's Mr. Crawford and Mr. Phillips in that order.
Thank you, Chairman. Is there currently, or is there plans to, or are there plans to have the government have an input into priorities, what do you call it, reinstallation? For example, many schools still don't have electricity, and despite not having last roof, etc., are having a very difficult time reopening. And as member from East Rural St. Andrew indicated, many areas that host water pumps haven't gotten back electricity. And by extension, other persons are having health crises. Schools as well are having health concerns because of the inability to flush and other things. So is there currently, or will there be future plans to have, in other circumstances such as this, the government to intervene and influence the priority reinstallations and reconnections?
Go ahead, Ms. Powell.
Tell you, and maybe from member from East Rural spoke, there is a collaboration among JPS, National Water Commission, and the telecommunications providers. Yes? And there is also a mechanism for prioritization the water sources. So perhaps what I should volunteer is if members of parliament would send to me the particular areas for themselves, and we will now take it up constituency by constituency with JPS, because the Water Commission is already working with JPS to try and get all of this done. So if we get all the information together, and then maybe we are going to be bombarding them to get the water, because as a health professional myself, in my first profession, it's not lost on me the issue of having water in an area. It is not lost on me at all, right? And maybe I'll have words with the Minister of Education or my colleague PS with respect to Ministry of Education to see what the collaboration is with JPS so that the matters can be addressed, because they're all very serious matters, very, very serious matters at the risk of health issues across our country.
Mr. Philip.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam PS, in the earlier dispensation about the issue with JPS and the ministry in trying to come to a common ground, refinancing is a little bit heartrending, because at the end of the day, it is the citizens who is like the grass under the hoof of the cow. Is there a time frame for this to be settled? Because one, if it is not, then how long will this be dragged on with JPS actually not meeting their end because of lack of financing and getting the country back to some semblance of normalcy in dealing with the restoration? Also, one member said it, communication with JPS and us members of parliament, and it was said by the member here, was way much better. I would love to know, if there is a point person in each parish that we can talk to. And I tell you why. Whenever there's electricity restored in a community or on a road, say Grove Road in Mandeville, but Grove Close has no electricity, but the road next door has, or the beginning of Grove Road has, but the rest of it, the amount of calls that we are bombarded with, and we can't respond because, truth be told, I don't know who to talk to. And if you do speak to someone, they can't give you any information at all. So if that can be put in place immediately just for communication, but I don't even have a number for the parish manager. Right? And each time that there's a disaster, there's a different individual you speak to, or you hear that that person is no longer there. So just give us a point person in who. You would imagine the parish manager is busy dealing with everything, but just give us a point person to communicate with. Thirdly, in the clearing of roadways, there are many areas where the JPS poles are still down, and residents are afraid to even cut it because they feel as if they cut it, there's no electricity coming back because of a pole that needs to probably be replaced. We can't get relief into some of these areas. So even just a time frame for them to say, hey, we're at least coming in to clear the pole. Because if they're going to wait until they're restoring electricity in some of these areas, there are a lot of residents are going to be left abandoned because we can't get to them. So those are my three.
You want to just take the final question from Ms. Burchell and then we wrap up?
Yes, PS, as is the case with the National Water Commission, when they are unable to provide water to customers, they find trucks through the pipelines, then they have to truck the water to them. Is there anything in our clause with the JPS that will compel them to provide other means, such as generators, etc., to our main areas like schools and clinics and stuff? Can we compel them to put some interim measures?
Police stations.
Police stations as well. Can we compel them? I have 3 high schools, Malden High, Cambridge High, and Anchovy High, that started on Monday without any form of power. So if JPS is unable to come into our constituency and start re-energizing us, can we compel them to provide alternate sources of energy in the interim?
Go ahead, Ms. Palmer.
I think, and I'll inform myself properly, but I do not think the license makes any compulsion to JPS to provide power in those circumstances. So we would have to see how we can work that around, because generators have been provided in the relief system, and No, I'm not speaking, and it's coming generally. So perhaps as I've been getting lists, what am I setting up myself for? As I've been getting lists for Starlink to go out into the parishes, maybe you can send me yours as well, and I'll see how we can get generators to the public facilities, because it's really for public facilities. Remember, for government, not for everybody.
Chairman, I want to...
Last question.
Not a question, but as it relates to generators in schools, I hold some concern. There are dangers that come with a generator, and there's also limited training within our schools currently on how to utilize generators properly. So while it is that I understand the immediate impact that it may have, necessary steps must be taken from the exhaust standpoint and the probability of explosion standpoint to ensure that, especially with young children, that we cater to that.
Impatient of debate. Just in closing, you didn't
Chairman, may I
respond to
answer Mr.
Mr. Phillips.
Number one, we are currently in active negotiations, discussions with JPS to see how financing can be facilitated for them. That is ongoing. In fact, I can tell you we took a matter to cabinet yesterday. So and that's the third cabinet submission since the hurricane. So it's an active process. We're not allowing our citizens to just languish for service.
The scale of what you're talking about to restore the grid, I mean, it's broad numbers, $500 million US. I'm asking you, I'm not suggesting that that's the figure.
It's absolutely not the figure that we've gotten. And I wrote to, because I was directed by cabinet yesterday to have OUR verify the figures we got from the JPS. So I guess when that is done, the cabinet will determine how we make that public information. But it's not $500,000 US. Absolutely.
$500 million, I said,
Half a billion?
Yes. I said $500 million. No, I could never say $500,000.
Maybe that's closer to what they are proposing. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No,
you want any closing?
What was the other question here? Yes, I will ask JPS for communications for the parishes. I'm sure they will tell me that you must use their app.
But I don't know how we to use the app when we have no telecommunications and we have no electricity. So
yes, I will follow through with that and send the information to the Parliament.
Yeah. All right. So just in closing, Ms. Palmer, separate from the financing issues, I think JPS could do better in terms of their communication with MPs and giving some projection. So we ask you to intervene with them on our behalf in that regard. Thank you. And thank you and your team for coming out and responding. And, I know you had pre-scheduled appointments today, and we appreciate you rearranging your schedule to be here in person with us. And we always welcome your presence. Thank you. All right, is that Miss Williams and Mr. Hunter? You're too far. Please come closer. You while the science and technology team leaves, you can just come closer.